Today on the microphone is the young professor Matt Graifer from the Savannah Bananas, the best show in sports. Enjoy. Matt, welcome to On the Microphone. Introduce yourself to everyone, what you do, and who you are, please.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the time of day with which you are listening to this. My name is the young professor Matt Graifer, chief potassium enthusiast for the Savannah Bananas, and professional sports announcer, host, and master of ceremonies for the last 5 years. JT, what's going on, man?
Man, you have the best intro. I'm so looking forward to this. This is so good. All right, let's jump straight into it. Savannah Bananas, they stay sold out. I mean, hottest ticket in all of sports entertainment, you could say. How do you all keep games fresh and interesting so fans keep attending these games?
Well, it's a couple of different things. There's things we change every single night. I mean, every night we do at least 10 to 15 new things that no one has ever seen before on a baseball diamond for sure, and maybe anywhere else perhaps, depending on exactly what we're up to. So we're constantly innovating, we're constantly changing things, trying new versions of things we've done before, or something along those lines. But also because the demand for what we do has gotten so outrageously crazy. I mean, right now, I mean, as of a few weeks ago, the last number I heard was there are 650,000 people on the waiting list, which means it's probably closer to 700,000 people that are just trying to make it to one of these games. So I don't even know that we need to change anything. Now we will, because that's built into our DNA. We always want to experiment and try new things. But even if we were to just keep doing everything we've done, the fact that so many people want to see us and don't get the opportunity yet, that is what they're looking for. So people just want to experience what it is that we do because it looks like so much fun from afar. And the best part about that is when they do actually get to come to a game live and in person, it's actually considerably better in real life than it is with whatever you see on TikTok or YouTube. And we've got tremendous social media presence. Our product is amazing digitally, but there is no substitute for being there live.
No, that's why you have 700,000 people trying to get in. You can't replicate that live experience.
No, not at all. It's and I've I said that I've been hosting sports for a little over 5 years, and before that I was a live event host before that too. I was hosting in trivia primarily. That's what I did, and some DJing, which that even goes. I have roots in that even when I was in college. So I have been to and hosted tons of events, thousands, well, not thousands, over 1,000 events is where I'm at, but probably closer to 1,500 at this point over the years. And I can tell you, and not because they pay me to say this, it is the most fun that you will have at anything because I've hosted almost everything there is, it feels like to do. And I don't think anything captures it. In fact, yesterday I put up a post that was I copied a post from 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I got tickets to my first Savannah Bananas game. I didn't work there, nothing. I just knew how fun it looked and I wanted to go. And I was able to go a month later, July 2021. I was able to take my family, so my wife, my 4 children, and they've been to hundreds of events with me, and they've seen, especially for kids, they've seen a lot of what there is to see. To this day, I've never, ever, ever seen my whole family, my kids, have that much fun at anything we have ever done before or since. And they come to games all the time and they still have a blast. But that first game, that first experience, I've never seen my children have so much fun. I felt like $1,000,000 just watching them have a good time. And so I love that we continue to do that for people. And our show is better now 2 years later than it was when I went 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's that effect. I've never been to a game, but it's one of those like it's on the list now because once you get a little taste of it, you want to go experience it live for sure.
There's nothing like it. I mean, I wish, and we all wish that everyone could come. We wish it was easier. I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have that it's so difficult to get tickets to, but we want people to come because we want people to share that experience. And so, I hope JT, you get the opportunity. I hope all the listeners get a chance. I mean, especially if we're talking with other announcers, as someone that, has their DNA embedded in that, I just wanted to learn from what the Bananas are doing. And there's a tremendous amount of learning you can go just by going and enjoying it, just seeing what options are out there in terms of how you can boost your own performance or boost your team's operations. That's how I initially looked at it, and I think we are operating at the highest of levels in that regard.
100% you are. You know who does come to games though and gets a ticket? Johnny Damon,
He
Thomas
does.
Rhett.
He's sitting in the dugout with us most of the time,
Yeah,
which is very cool.
and Thomas Rhett. How do you
Yeah.
manage? How do you manage all the celebrities that want to attend?
I mean, that's not my department. That goes way up
Yeah,
the chain in administrative and probably at the highest of high levels because those are not,
right.
they're not B level, C level celebrities even. No shade on the B and C level celebrities, by the way, but these are top tier performers in their sport, in their industries of yesterday and today. I mean, Thomas Rhett is on top now, so he's there with us. We did not all get to meet him. He was up in one of the suites. He was kind of away from everybody else, but he did interact with a few members. Our PA announcer Shark, he actually went in there. But Shark used to operate in a radio station and like in country radio, so there was a tie there, and they had some mutual connections. But Thomas Rhett went up and on in the fourth inning of the game, he was in the booth with Biko Scala and Josh Talevsky and actually did some play-by-play and a little impromptu interview talking about us and talking about him. So for anybody that wants to go hear that and hear his experience, that's the Savannah Bananas Nashville Night 2 game. And if you go the fourth inning, you'll hear Thomas Rhett. But man, it's very crazy, and we never know who's going to show up at these things now, and nobody is off the table.
Man, you're gonna have a millionaires row like at Churchill Downs or something.
Well, but see, we don't want. I mean, we understand why those guys want it, but that's
Mhm.
also kind of against what we do. We're about fans first. Fans first entertainment is the name of our parent company. That Jesse Cole, our owner, like that's the name of his company, and that's what we do. Fans first, entertain always. That's our mission statement as a team, as a company, and so we like to break down that barrier and that fourth wall so that people can be there. We don't want it to be just an exclusive thing for a millionaires row. It's very cool that they're there, and I can understand them wanting some privacy so they can enjoy it. But yeah, we want it to be accessible for our fans, for people who like me 2 years ago just wanted to take his kids and have a good time.
Love it. So you do a lot of script writing. You have to do that a lot in your role. How many drafts do you go through before performing your final product in a game, before you go on the mic in front of the crowd? About how many times are you walking through it? How many times are you wadding up that paper and throwing it away? About just give me a run through there.
Well, so I don't write our scripts primarily here. We have our director of entertainment, Zach Frangelo, and he is in charge of script writing because he's not just scripting the parts where I would normally be involved. As an on-field host, I operate a lot in pregame and then a lot on the in-betweens, right? In between the innings, the promotions that we do, and then some general interaction during the game. But he's writing in where the TikTok dances are and where certain run scoring celebrations. And now if somebody hits a double, a stand-up double, we have a celebration dance or event that's going on there. That's a new element that we're starting to incorporate. So like when that happens, then this happens. So Zach is running through that and then running through rehearsals. But I have been getting much more involved in at least coming up with new promotions and new ideas. And so myself and other members of our entertainment team, and even Jesse himself, we've been having a lot more meetings lately, throwing ideas on the wall, and then someone will have a nugget of an idea, and we kind of jam together and expand it. And sometimes, I mean, it looks good on paper, and then we look, and then oh, wait a minute, we have this program, we have this thing where we've got grandmas. It's a grandma promotion because we try to kind of do something with grandmas. Like, oh well, we had a dance for grandma's pregame. Now we forgot about that, so now we have to kind of switch that out with something else, with maybe like some dad bod guys, and change that because we don't want to hit the same exact kind of promotion multiple times per game because people have seen it. We want to keep it fresh and different and involve as many different demographics as possible. That's not a term you'll probably hear the Bananas say too much, but
Mm.
like we try to do stuff with families, we try to do stuff with babies, we try to do stuff with moms, we try to do stuff with like chubby dads and an old lady or an old man. Like these are because it's fun. They're different. They represent different member groups of our fans, and we want everybody to have something that they can kind of attach to or just be entertained watching. So yeah, we go back to formula quite a bit, but usually the script gets written a few days in advance, and then probably two or three rewrites day of at least a few tweaks and changes.
Gosh, uh, Man, I know you're a wrestling fan too, and I am as well. And I always like to follow the reports of like if WWE's doing Monday Night Raw and like, oh, they changed the scripts, they've gone through it all day. I always like to follow that. So I knew it'd be very similar in that sense of the creative process. So
Maybe
very
not quite to
interesting.
that extent, because I know what you're talking about, where you hear the stories of Vince McMahon writing the script and then throwing it out an hour before the show. We're not doing that, like, because we have so many moving parts. I mean, they do too, and that's Vince's prerogative, but we're not up against time usually that much. And if we are, we're changing one thing. We're not changing the entirety or something massive. So we try to at least give us some semblance of organization, because we have so many guys and girls from, we've got players, you've got banana nanas, you've got mananas, you've got hosts, you've got sometimes our banana splits, our girls dance team that are between like 8 and 14 years old. I mean, you've got to have all these people kind of in the right places at the right time. So
Mhm.
we've got to keep everyone, some degree of in the know. And if you throw everything out at the last second, that's just a recipe for disaster. And with 700,000 people on the waiting list, we don't have room to fail that big. We try to hedge our bets and make sure that what we have is going to deliver a great show. Now we know that some promos or things won't hit and they won't be great, but we can count on the rest of the show and the way that we've set it up to overcome that. And sometimes we'll be pleasantly surprised by something weird that we plan.
Yeah, you never know what's going to take off. That's one of the great things about it being so organic and ju- just so unique in general. Another thing that is unique are your outfits. Truthfully, your outfits are wild, and you got so many of them. Okay, are these things handmade? Are you finding these things at Goodwill? Where do you get all these outfits from?
So they're not handmade and typically not at Goodwill. Let's face it, the funky stuff I have, I don't know who would if you have them, I don't know that you're throwing them out, because it's more of their specialty items, I suppose. They kind of cater to a certain taste. But I've just amassed a giant collection of just weird wardrobe options. I mean, you're looking, if you're watching the video of this, you're in my closet with me right now, and this isn't even like really my announcer closet, if you will. This is more of the day-to-day attire that's all here. This is, as a teacher, this is what I wear every day, and I repeat. And you can see I don't need to repeat. I wear a different shirt at least every single day all year round, like all throughout school year. Like they will not see the same outfit two times in a school year. That's kind of something I've done for the last 3 years. But that's also something that I started doing a few years ago as I started settling into my role as an announcer and as a host, because it was different. And I understood quickly early on that you've got to be good at this job. I mean, but that's a given. To me, that's not something anyone needs to tell you. If you want to be successful, yes, you have to be good. You have to have the skills. You need to know when, where, how, why. But from there, what separates you? What makes you different? What makes you stand out? Why would someone want to hire you over anyone else that's out there doing it? And so as I started kind of just playing with ideas, I bought a few like kind of colorful tuxedos. Like one of the first ones I bought was this blue paisley jacket. And then I put like these really nice, shiny blue shoes with it. And people really reacted. And then I did it with a red and a purple. And as soon as I started putting the shoes with the jacket, people were like, oh my God, that. And so now, Amazon and my internet algorithms just send me links to all the crazy stuff that's out there. So I happen to know a lot of the manufacturers and where to get stuff. And it's not crazy expensive most of the time. So just over time, I've just added more and more to it. And now, I mean, there are a couple in here off to the sides, which people can't see, but I've got two giant racks in my garage of suits and tuxedo jackets of every shininess and color and variety and pattern that you can imagine, because I try to have something for every occasion. So if someone wants to hire me for whatever you have going on, I have an outfit specifically that I can wear for that, that's going to really add to and blend in with the vibe of what's going on.
Yeah. You talk about you've done over 1,000 events. You're on the mic a lot in one way or another. How do you protect and save your voice? You have any tips for that?
I'll be honest, it's something that I'm really battling with more now than ever before. I really haven't taken any specific measures, and I think the reason I haven't needed to is because I literally speak for a living. So in addition to this as being, my side work that I do in the evenings, I'm a teacher by day, and I'm not a here's your packet kind of teacher. I'm a stand up in the front of the class, let's lecture for however long we're here and let's talk about things, and I'm animated. So I am constantly talking, but it's just like anything in your body, especially muscles, right? Like if you use a muscle and you keep overloading it, it's going to grow. It's going to get stronger. It's going to be able to withstand that demand. And so over many years of teaching and announcing, I feel like I've kind of just strengthened my voice and my diaphragm and my ability to do it. That being said, in the last few months, particularly with the bananas, it has been more taxing than probably ever before because we are operating at a very, very high level. And frequently, we've got around 95 games this season, and we are halfway through the tour now. Last night was game number 48. So we are like right at the halfway point. And even this past week, we had banana ball games on Thursday, Friday. I hosted 2 days in a row of a wrestling convention where I'm introducing WWE Hall of Famers and really, so I'm going to do a big, giant, powerful and entrance for them, and then another game right after that. So it's 5 days in a row of just as high octane, high intensity as possible, and it certainly takes its toll. I try to drink tea, some hot tea, and with some honey if I have it. Throat coat is a kind of tea. It tastes disgusting, but everybody says you should do it, so let's do that. I have bought a humidifier that I sometimes use for vocal care that was recommended to me by Dalton Malden, one of our players, who's also a singer, and he said that's a good thing to do. And then I try to get as much vocal rest as I can, which is difficult for me. But on my off days now, I find myself trying to talk less, trying to talk lower, just to kind of give myself the opportunity to recover a bit because it's taxing, especially when you start doing it much more frequently. It gets hard, and so you've got to take your breaks because rest is really the only thing that you can do.
Now, you call yourself a character name, and back to wrestling. Is this an extension of yourself, the young professor? Where did this character come from? How did you develop this character?
It is. It's more, and it's more of a moniker than a character. Because I tell people, I said, while these days I am neither young nor a professor. I was both once upon a time. In fact, I started teaching at 25 years old. I was a college professor at 25, so I was in fact a young professor. And when I started in entertainment, I started as a trivia host, and for about a year, I just did it the way most people do it. You're just some guy, right? You're just doing it, and I was just Matt, and Matt would show up and do trivia shows, and they were good. It was fun. But I also knew that I wanted to kind of build a following. I wanted to build opportunities to start getting more shows and have more opportunities to do it so I could make more money. And every night, again, even, unless you have your regulars who know you, he would leave. And with a name like Matt, which is very ordinary, very biblical, but also very forgettable. People were like, "I'll see you later, Mark. Bye, Mike." And so already I knew this is not working. But being a lifelong professional wrestling fan, gimmicks work. And gimmicks that are yourself turned up to 11 work the best. That, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he talks about it. He's that guy to some extent, just turned up. The Rock is Dwayne Johnson, turned up to 11. And so I don't know that the persona is much different with the professor. There's probably a little more persona to it now than I really realize, but it was just a funkier name. It was easier, it was more memorable, it was something I could build social media around. And so it was what I was at the time. So I came up with the young professor, and that just stuck. And when I started transitioning into sports, I kept it with me, and it just has worked, and it continues to work for me. And the way I look at it too is, while I'm not young anymore, if Ric Flair at 73 is still the nature boy, I can milk this young thing at least a little while longer.
That's right, man. I love the wrestling talk. I wish we could just talk wrestling the rest of the time. But yeah, I'm gonna say the young professor, to use some wrestling terms, is as over as the bloodline story right now.
I don't know if I'm that over. That's big. That's I'm a solid mid Carter. Maybe LA Knight. Give me an LA Knight
Man,
off
LA
there.
Knight's super over. You just wait and see. He's
He's
uh
on his way, and that's the way I
yes.
look at it. I'm on my way.
All right, here's a sidebar question, just a quick yes or no, or you can elaborate. Major League Baseball, the pitch clock.
I
Yeah,
like
you're
it.
not, you like
Yeah,
you like it.
I'm in favor of it, and I don't know this for sure. I think that has something to do with us. I do. I think we have in the last couple of years have shown that there is a desire amongst fans to keep games shorter because they're too long. They're boring. People don't want to stay. They're not engaging with it. And so the pitch clock does that. It shortens the game. And I got a chance to work with the pitch clock last year when I was working with the Daytona Tortugas. So I got to see it live as it was being field tested in single A ball. And it was great because it kept the game moving. It kept things exciting. Players adjusted to it well. Everybody's been, especially at the beginning of this year, everybody was crying and complaining about it. It's good for the game. No one is going to sit and watch a 4-hour baseball game. And you go back historically, baseball games did not used to take that long on average. It has gotten progressively longer as time has gone on because it's remained unchecked. So I think it is a simple measure that's been implemented that keeps everybody honest. It keeps the game moving, which in turn keeps things exciting. People's attention spans are shorter than they have
Mm,
ever been right now.
good point.
So anything that is going to help keep people engaged, including the players and the fans that are there live, let's go for it. Let's try it out. And I think it's working for them.
And no one knows attention spans better than a teacher.
Oh, good Lord. You have no idea. There's no attention span, for these kids. It's, you know, in the TikTok world, trying to stand up there and talk to them. Why do you think I wear all this nonsense behind me? That's the only tool I have to try to compete for their attention. They've got the world's most entertaining content in their hands. The least I can do is dress like a nut. Maybe they'll listen to me. Maybe.
All right, here's another question, kind of out there. In all of sports, give me three. The best mascot slash nickname, bananas, slugs, red hounds, bananas, whatever it is. What are your three best sports mascot nicknames?
I will take the bananas out of it, just out of for bias sake. I'll remove them from contention because I do think that we're there, and for a number of reasons. And our brand kind of permeates bigger now. But some personal favorites of mine because I do love. I've got a ton of hats from tons of other teams, particularly minor league baseball. I think minor league baseball is doing it very well now. But some good ones that everyone kind of goes to. The Rocket City Trash Pandas is a tremendous brand and a really cool logo. The Portland Pickles is a lot of fun as well. I'm a big fan of them. Actually, one that's in. Can we count alternative brands?
Go
Because
for it.
there's one that caught my attention. Last week they did an announcement of it. They are normally the Bismarck Larks, which is that's okay, but they were the Missouri River Motorboaters, and their motorboater merchandise and colors and their logo, man, it really caught my attention last week. So there's a lot of fun stuff like that. I think the more fun that the teams can have and give their players permission to have fun with it, fans are going to come along for that. So just make it fun. Those are just three examples, but there's lots of good ones. I've got another one. I've got the Bouncing Pickles. I think that's a Hartford Yard Goats, and the Hartford Yard Goats are a good one. You can even go classic, the Toledo Mud Hens. Like these are just fun brands. There's lots of really fun stuff out there.
Yeah, I love it. I love the minor league names. So we've established that you are a teacher. You're a social studies teacher. I'm a special education teacher, so I can relate to a point. And I love history. What is your favorite era to teach in
Well,
history?
I have two, and they're pretty close. And because I teach world history, and world history, I don't even know if we should call it world history the way we teach it. It's primarily European history. But my favorite time periods to teach are the French Revolution and World War One. And the reason I like both is they're both super interesting. They're bonkers. Like there's crazy stuff that happens. Like the stories are unreal, and kids get into that. We just talked about attention spans. Like there's stuff that happens in the French Revolution, and then with Napoleon when he comes on board, that kids, even if you're not interested, they're sitting there and they're going, well, and then what happened? Like they're interested. And World War One is like that too. And my favorite part about those two things is they're cool, they're interesting, and these kids have no knowledge of them at all when they come in. So it's all new, it's all fresh. Like as much as I love learning about World War Two is a lot of people's, I think, favorite time period to kind of learn about. A lot of people know about World War Two, and that's not a bad thing. But I appreciate the opportunity to bring something completely new, completely unheard of to these kids that they really get, interested in. So for me, it's the French Revolution and World War One.
Very interesting answer there, but makes sense too. All the logic makes sense in what you said there. Last question concerning the Savannah Bananas. Not everyone can duplicate what you all do, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't copy everything. But what is one and only one tip that you would give to minor league teams, or it could be professional baseball, just sports organizations in general, to improve their game experience?
I think people should try to copy what we're doing, if I'm being perfectly honest. As someone that started outside the organization, was in minor league baseball, I was absolutely trying to copy what the Bananas were doing. There are limitations, especially if we just talk baseball in general. There's obviously limitations because Major League Baseball is going to let you get away with certain things. Budget restrictions kind of keep you from doing certain things. But when I was a host, when I was starting out with the Daytona Tortugas 2 years ago, and I found out what the Bananas were, I immediately shifted my focus to what do they do that we can do? Because we can maximize the fan experience. And that's really, if your focus is that, and that's, I guess, maybe the nugget of like, what's the one thing? Focus on your fan experience. You can't control what goes on in between the lines. You can't control the play on the field, and you shouldn't want to. I think for most traditional regular sports, let the coaches, let the players handle every bit of that. That needs to be good, but that's a given. But everything else about your fan experience, front office, game day staff, hosts, entertainment, you can build that. And there's so much opportunity, but you have to have a mindset that is aimed at your fans first and foremost. You want to make sure they have the best experience possible. I'll give you a for example. So last year, with the Daytona Tortugas, I would write the script for all of our in-game entertainment, and I started making it look a lot like what the Bananas do within reason, because there's me and that's our entertainment team, and I had one person with me, so it was not easy to do. But everywhere I could kind of do something that incorporated fans into it, I would. I kind of lessened the amount of just individual contestant promotions. We had some, but you want to involve as many people as possible. But we had one promotion that was sponsored by an auto dealership where like you had to roll like 6 dice, and if you land them all exactly as is, they win a truck. The only way that promotion is exciting for people watching is if someone wins the damn truck. Every night it sucked. I used to tell people, like, this is like a fart in church. This goes over terrible every single night. It's awful. And I hated doing it. And I would experiment with it wherever I could. I would throw them off like the top of the stadium down, just so there's some degree of, hey, maybe somebody gets hit. We don't want anyone to get hit, but you at least want some sense of danger and excitement for people watching it, because usually you roll the first dice and they lose and the promotion's over and we just play music and keep going. And it's the worst. And even though I'm not there this year, that piece of feedback that I gave them every night, I was like, this promotion sucks. It's terrible. It's awful every night. Don't put us in, box us in with promotions like this anymore, because we're killing the vibe for our fans. Like, there's more that we can do, and we can do something with an auto dealership and we can make something fun. Like, I'm not saying don't sell a sponsorship. What I'm saying is, whatever you sell, don't put yourself into this box where you can't do something fun for your fans, because rolling a dice where people have a 1 in like 400,000 shot of winning and they're going to probably lose on the first roll sucks for everyone. So anything that is boring, stay away from it. Hire people that are exciting and that are excited, and empower them, and let them kind of push the boundaries within reason of where they can go, because there's a lot of room to do that. And I don't think enough teams are ambitious enough or want to do it. I mean, it's hard. You're trying to operate everything. I get it, but you need somebody creative, somebody fun that's willing to kind of grab the baton and lead the charge, and give them a little room to do that. And I think you'll be grateful if you're an owner or you're a general manager, because if your fans have fun, they're going to want to come to the games. It's not about the play on the field, especially in the minor leagues. They don't care if the team wins or loses. Winning and losing doesn't matter as much for those at that level. Most of those guys are getting called up in the middle of the season anyway, and you're restarting as you go. People are coming for family friendly entertainment. So build an experience that can't be missed no matter who's on the field, and you're going to reap the rewards. We try to do it with the Tortugas, and that's something that I took a lot of inspiration from the Bananas.
I think you just preached the gospel truth right there, my friend. I mean, that was pretty concrete advice for everyone. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to being on the microphone. As always, the guest gets to close us out and give a shout out, a promotion. This is your time for taking the time to being on the microphone.
JT, thank you. And for all the people that are in the industry along with me that are listening, thank you for your time, for your attention. Keep hustling, keep grinding, and don't be afraid to be a little different, to add a little more, and be yourself and have some fun. You know, our the way I look at our fans are paying good, hard-earned money to come and see us. We have a responsibility to do that. I mean, put yourself in the position of what I said. You know, as a dad, you know, I've got 4 kids. If I'm paying money to go to anything, I want it to be worth my while. And I think everybody has a part of that, especially the guys and girls behind the microphone. We can add excitement, we can add to the environment and the atmosphere. So go for it. Don't be afraid to do it. You know, sometimes ask forgiveness, not permission, within reason, but have some fun. Again, I am the Young Professor Matt Graifer. Follow me at all platforms of social media. I am located at Young Professor G. Buy some t-shirts if you like, and otherwise get on the waiting list and come see us with the Savannah Bananas game. You'll be glad you did, and we'll have some fun.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and share the content. Also, consider joining the Public Address Announcer Facebook group so you can connect with others who are on the microphone.